All right, guys and girls, it's Unhappy Wednesday. Coming to you live from our humble abode, not the back porch this week. Kind of thankful I didn't try to book that today in light of what transpired and what is going to transpire in a couple of minutes here. But here we are in our humble abode. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you, as always, for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever device you're using to stream us on YouTube. It's the only place you can get us right now. Unless you're talking about the pregame show, which hats off to that entire staff for just getting bigger and bigger every week. If there's something to be happy about, that's definitely it. But be that as it may, pull up a chair, turn up the volume if you need to. Use the company dime if you're still stuck at work. Crack open a cold one if that's your thing on a Wednesday night, and let's try to have a little fun. Not going to be too fun right out of the gates, but we'll put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow being Friday Eve. It's also, oh man, let me just read the sponsorship first, because otherwise I'll forget. Everyone, Michelle's favorite part of the program. We are proudly sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Look, just minutes away from the sports complex, Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon until 2 a.m. and until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980 and reserve a private booth and party package. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drink and food specials, and a premium selection of cigars and a cigar lounge. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sporting event, you can't get out to the bank, right? You can't get tickets to the Phils. You can't get tickets to the Birds without selling a kidney. Head on over to Cheerleaders and enjoy the 75-foot HD TV wall, as well as HD TV screens throughout the entire club. Once again, folks, that's Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philly. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. Okay. Y'all heard the news earlier today. Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck during an event in front of his wife and children, apparently. He did later pass away. And I want you guys to just, and believe me, I will, Lou Mancini, David Loeb, Steven Suter, my wife Michelle's in here laughing at me for the cheerleaders thing. Keaton, what's up, brother? And we'll get to the room and we will acknowledge everyone. And I want you all to have the opportunity to express your opinions and know that I'm here to encourage all of it. With some exceptions. You guys realize today is September 10th, right? This is going to get a little uncomfortable, folks, okay? I got home from work. I was upset. As anyone should be when a 31-year-old man is gunned down for no reason except for the fact that you just didn't like him. Didn't like his stance, didn't like his politics, didn't like that he supports Trump, or just that you hate Donald Trump, whatever. This is why he was gunned down. So just bear with it, folks. This is going to get a little off the rails. Not exactly what you're used to from this show. Okay? As I said in the teaser about an hour ago, we normally stay away from politics and stay away from all that stuff because it's just a shitty conversation, right? You can't really have intelligent conversations with people who sit on the other side, at least not when you sit too far right or left. And I personally don't care to entertain whether or not the person I'm trying to talk to is one of those folks that's on the other side. That's so far on the other side that they can't see the line. The line becomes a dot to them. What I can tell you is anyone, as Lou Dominguez just said, what's up, brother? Anyone applauding this behavior of what transpired today, that person does not set their car alarm off, I swear to God. Anyone who's applauding what happened today, and it happened to be someone who sits firmly to the right, who is a Trump supporter. If this had happened to someone who sat for. There is no excuse for any of it. Okay? There's just not. There's no cheering for it. There is no none of it. Now, here's what I will tell all of you. If anybody hears this now or later, then you are one of the people that think that what happened today is okay just because of a political stance. I do not want you to unfollow me. I do not want you to unfriend me. No, I want you to stay right here. I want you to stay right here because I need to know who you are, who you really are, not the person you pretend to be. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. All right? I voted for Donald Trump 3 times. 3 times. And there is a part of me that has to get up, look my ugly ass in the mirror and be like, Jesus Christ, you really voted for this guy 3 times? I understand why people don't like him. I didn't vote for his personality, okay? That's not what any of this is about. What I need everyone to understand, 24 years ago today, this nation was divided. Most, if not all, everyone who listens now or later remembers that. Whether you were a kid or you were a young adult or you were already out and established. You remember it in some way, shape, or form that people, mostly because of the politics, did not see eye to eye. And people hated each other. Do you think for a second that we're not more divided now? Because I would tell you we are. And the actions of today speak to that loud and clear. Now, I don't care what comes out about the shooter. I don't want to give that person any more 15 minutes of fame or whatever the hell this prick was looking for. I'm sure at some point they're going to release, oh, he was a registered Republican. I don't give a shit. There is no excuse. You can hate people all you want. You can not want to be around people all you want. You can not want to hear people's opinions all you want. All you got to do is shut off the television. Don't watch the TikToks. Just don't do it. But to allow yourself to become so crazed that you grab a gun and kill someone over it is absolutely insanity. Absolute lunacy. Are school shootings worse? Of course they are to children. I get it, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. What I'm trying to say is we're more divided now than we were 24 years ago today. And if you remember September 10th, 24 years ago, I'm damn sure you remember September 11th, 24 years ago. Is it going to take another event like that for us to knock this shit off? Because that's what goes through my head. Some of you have been with us doing this show for the over three years that we've been doing it. And you know my story because I talk about it every year on this day. September 10th, 2001, I was at Yankee Stadium. Took a bus trip from Bridgeport, Connecticut to the Bronx, a bunch of softball folks, a bunch of alcohol, and we were having a good old time. And the thought always goes to your head, maybe I can sneak away from the bus and go party in the city all night, blah, blah, blah. Well, it monsooned that night. Pouring ass rain. The game rains out. So we went home. We just get on the bus and go home. Then you go to the bar, you get all twisted up, blah, blah, blah. Next morning, we all know what happened, right? Like everyone else, you didn't see the first one. You saw the second one. Is it going to take another event like that for this type of shit to stop? For everyone to stop hating each other so much that you're out there shooting at each other? In the past year, we've had a presidential candidate at the time have a shot taken at him. And now this kid is killed at an event that he was speaking at. Why? Because he argues with people that from a side that you don't agree with? I mean, what the hell kind of demented shit is going on out there? And I've seen Lou Dominguez post about possibly needing to start deporting people who are actually born here, who are citizens here. I'm not against it. The only thing that should matter is if you are a a violent, law-breaking asshole. That's all that should matter. What happened today was disgusting. The fact that he was only 31 years old, hate him all you want, folks, doesn't deserve to be murdered. And I'll have another little nugget for any of you out there that think that today that some of you out there are laughing about this and whatnot. You have made a martyr out of Charlie Kirk. That's what's going to happen. And they are all, like, this is going to be a rallying point. If you think you succeeded in something here, you didn't. All right? All you did was widen the divide even more. There's going to be more Charlie Kirks that you're not going to be able to. You're going to go shoot all of them? Is that what you're going to do? You want to come take a shot at me? Because I just admitted I voted for Trump 3 times? And I got no problem getting up anywhere and telling everybody exactly how I feel about it? Go for it. I've had it. This is not the America that I wanted to raise my kids in. This is not the America that I sent my son off to the army in. Okay? So for those of you with children, grandchildren, nieces, aunts, uncles, whatever, those of you that you realize that if another event like what happened 24 years ago has to happen for us to get unified, all of those folks that we love so dearly, that are willing to make that sacrifice to defend our right to sit here and do this, are going to be put further in harm's way because of it. So knock it off. Stop listening to the opinions of douchebags on news outlets. I don't give a shit what station it is. And I'm telling you now, I'm talking to both sides here. Stop listening to CNN. Stop listening to Fox. All of it. It's not news, folks. These are people who are getting paid to get up in front of a camera and be a pontificating fucking windbag with their own stupid-ass opinion. That's all you're ingesting is opinions. And for the most part, what you're doing is you're only watching the opinions that you agree with. You know what that does to your mentality? It stunts your mental capability. No, here's what you need to do. You need to go out, you need to talk to your neighbors. Talk to other people in the community. Go to a Board of Education meeting. Do all of those things. Because sitting there in front of that, listening to those idiots is worthless. All it is doing is pumping more hate into our society, and the end result is what you saw today. And that type of shit will continue to happen until, unfortunately, it ain't like I'm rooting for it, guys, girls, kids. But enough is enough. This has to stop. You have to stop hating each other so much. Try to have a conversation without being argumentative. Try to listen to someone with a differing opinion than yours. There's nothing wrong with it. It's how we grow mentally and as a society. Do I think Donald Trump is perfect? Fuck no. Did I vote for him because he was the right thing for my wallet? You damn skippy, I did. And I would do it again, depending on who he's up against. As a whole, we deserve better candidates. There's no question about that. I don't think anybody on either side of this stupid-ass fence would argue that. Don't let it take another event like 9/11 to bring us together again. It starts with just us, folks. You don't have to accept what these idiots on the box are telling you. It's their opinions. It's not news. The news focuses on the violence, focuses on the hate, and they just keep pumping that into society. And then you know what they do? They profit on the coverage of the fallout from it. like today. That's what's happening. You turn on any news network right now, it's going to be nothing but these people's opinions of what went down. Nothing. And it'll just keep running the video of Charlie Kirk standing there, and all of a sudden, and that was it. So I understand that this is not the way you expect. This is not what you've come to expect from this show. I understand that a lot of you, the ones that do come now or listen later, you come here for some fun, some laughs, some Eagles talk, boner of the week stuff, and it's to have a good time. But there are times when things get so bad, and I will tell you, today bothers me. Today, my intent was to open the show and just lightly talk about what tomorrow is, and to please not let us keep sliding into a society that makes it possible for that shit to happen again. And I was going to leave it at that. And then a 31-year-old man gets murdered because he's a Trump supporter. Kind of felt like the opener of this show needed to be a little bit more than what everybody's used to. So I did warn you. I thank you for coming. I am going to take a breath. We're going to get over to the room. And then we're going to get back to what we normally get back to. But I did promise I want everyone's opinion heard. Keenan Harmon, what up, folks? Can't hear much in a noisy pub in Long Neck, Delaware, eating with family. Exactly where you should be, my brother. Lou Dominguez, anyone applauding this is beyond sick, without question, my friend. Keenan Harmon, I love everyone except assholes. Perfect. Lou Mancini, that's the last time we were unified as a nation. It was right after 9/11. And that's what I'm getting at, guys and girls. Don't let it happen again. Don't let it take something like that. Lou Dominguez, they hate this country so much. Get them out of here. Agreed. Steven Suter, what's up, brother? And there was the nut job that set fire to the governor's mansion in Harrisburg. There's another idiot, right? There is no excuse for that. None. The right just won, but nobody won today, brother. I get what you're saying. I know I was talking about Charlie Kirk being a martyr, and to a certain extent, what you're saying is not wrong. But really, when a 31-year-old husband and father, gets murdered like that, nobody wins, right? The rest of the world continues to look at us like, look at these assholes. Vito Mata, what's up, my friend? How the hell have you been? Been a while. Suter says thank you. Vito, hey, Keenan, needed to come in and hear Gilmore's rant to clear my mind. Sad day in the U.S. Miss you guys, even though I'm not a Birds fan. America's first, free speech forever. Perfectly stated, my brother. Absolutely perfectly. Samantha, somehow you make me feel better about this shit show. Well, if that comes from this, Sam, I'm glad. But I had to get, I've got a platform to be able to do this, and you're goddamn right, I was going to do it. These guys, the Keenan, Lou Dominguez, Russ Taylor, when he's able to come in, David Loeb, David Conant, a lot of them know that this day, September 10th into September 11th, I talk about it. From my personal standpoint and experience of being there the night before and then seeing that the next morning, only growing up 40 minutes away from it, from New York. Not, obviously there were other events that happened. We all know that. But I just, like I said, I have the platform to do it, and I'm going to do it. Keenan Harmon, if you didn't know, I'm of Delaware Indian descent, and I realize this country has been screwed up from the very beginning, but I will never blame anyone walking today. And that's a fair way to look at it. Lou Mancini, I have no problem with what you're saying right now. People lost their way. Yes, they did, sir. Yes, they very much did. I thank you for bearing with that. I'm sure you didn't need to turn up the volume during the opening there. But it needed to be said. And I'm sure I'm not the only one out there saying it. So I just I feel like I bring a little more passion to things at times. And some people call it lunacy. I call it passion. We agree to disagree. See how that works? You agree to disagree, and it's okay. Folks, I grew up in True Blue, Connecticut. Southwest Connecticut, 40 minutes to an hour from Manhattan. I have spent time working in South Central Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, and have lived in Ohio and Tennessee. I have friends on both sides way out, both sides close to the middle, some right down the middle. I choose not to converse much with folks that are too crazy. There is one particular person who it's really a shame. He's an intelligent man. He's been a successful businessman in Connecticut. I think he lives in Florida now. Who his entire page, entire Facebook page, is nothing but political ranting, just anti-right and anti-Trump everything. That's all he posts. Some Yankee shit sprinkled in, but you got to dig through all the bullshit to get to it. His page today, not cheering for the murder, but not condemning it either. And so, Bob, I will not give your last name, but Bob, if you happen to see this, you can go outside, play hide, and go fuck yourself. I've told you 1,000 times, I do make trips back to Connecticut, and I promise you wouldn't say any of this kind of shit right to my face. So, all right, we're going to move on before I really, really go on a tangent. So, Boner of the Week. For those of you that did not get, we did Heart of the Order podcast again last night. That's Lou Dominguez of 305 Sports, Chris Sackmaster of Green Legion Radio, and yours truly. We've done 6 episodes now. Heart of the Order is a baseball podcast. We'll throw in a little football talk in there, here and there too, but for the most part, it's a baseball podcast. We didn't start till 9:00 last night, having to, Luke, Bob from previous posts. True story. You know which one I'm talking about. I will not give his last name because that's just going too far. But if he hears this, I'm sure he knows who I'm talking about too. So, but we did that show last night. We couldn't start till 9:00. We had to accommodate a couple of other things for Chris and Lou. So it was a late night. We were on until 11:00. But it's always a great time. And of course, we opened the show with who our boner of the week is going to be. And look, we could go with Tyreek Hill again. Could go with Caleb Williams for completely collapsing after, the first 15 or whatever scripted plays. But no, we have our first real, well, maybe not our first real, but our strongest boner of the year candidate, and likely the one that will win this award this year, in the Philly Karen, or Cruella de Phil, whatever you want to call her. Fito, we ride at dawn. Go Birds, yes sir. But yeah, so there's your boner of the week. It doesn't need any introduction. The woman with the skunk haircut has been all over social media for the better part of a week now, for having her little rant, thinking a home run ball belonged to her. Like the 3 of us talked about last night on Heart of the Order. I applaud the father for just diffusing the situation. I really do. But I can tell you from my standpoint, if that woman is acting that way, that close to my kids, and demanding a ball that she never laid her hands on, the thing had hit the ground. Once it hits the ground, that is open season for anyone. Those are the rules. And the minute it's given to a kid, the ball belongs to the kid. That's it. There's no other way to cut it. Done, game, set, match. Again, applaud the father. But I will tell you right now, if that woman had come run up to me and caught me off guard and was grabbing my arm and acting like that close to my kids, I don't think I'm giving the ball back. And I'm pretty sure I'm giving her one chance to walk away before I insult her to the point where she starts to cry. Obviously, she's a female. We're not putting our hands on anybody here. But she's not getting the ball. And she's going to, and I may go so far as to look down and insult her husband or whoever that dude was, too. But, their father took the high road. Much respect for him. He gives her the ball. The Marlins recognize it right away. So out of the boner of the week comes, some good. The Marlins recognize it right away. They go up there with a bag full of goodies for the kid. The Phillies see it, invite the kid down outside the clubhouse after the game. He gets to meet Harrison Bader. Bader personally autographs the bat to him. There's another story out there about an RV and World Series tickets for this family. So look, my reaction probably would have only gotten us a foul ball, or I'm sorry, a home run ball. But kudos to the dad. I mean, they came out smelling like roses. This woman, on the other hand, her behavior in taking the ball back was disgusting enough. Have you seen the video clips of how she was behaving once she was back in her seat? Because she was getting berated by everybody around. I mean, she's flipping people off, waving the ball around. She got booed out of the stadium. She's been getting crushed all over social media, whether it's the videos, the memes, the whatever the hell you want to call it. She's been getting crushed everywhere. The one thing I can't figure out, and we were talking about it last night, is how the hell do we not have this woman's name yet? We don't know who she is. There's been a couple of false reports, unless something came out today and I didn't see it. There's been a couple of false reports, one about a school teacher and one about somebody else. They were both debunked. We still don't know who this lady is. It's absolutely nuts. But boner of the week for sure, boner of the year candidate. It's going to take a monumental effort to knock her off the pedestal. Congratulations, Philly Karen. You not only won the Heart of the Order Golden Sombrero Award last night, you are also this week's UnHappy Gilmore Show boner of the week, and very possibly the UnHappy Gilmore Show's boner of the year. All right, back over to the room. I know Bob from previous posts. Yeah, Dev, I know who you are, brother. How you doing? Hey, Fanny, how you doing? Cool kids. Just got in from being with the grandkids. Well, that sounds like a fun evening. I know how much you enjoy your time. Chinese Molly, why his lady didn't say anything? Yeah, you could go there too. It looked very much like they were just kind of because if you watch the video, they're not looking in her direction when she comes running over there. They're looking at the kid. The dad is hugging him. They're looking at the ball, and she just runs up and grabs his arm, and you see his reaction. He's like, Jesus. So it looked very much like they completely caught her off guard. I kind of agree with you. In that situation, I'd probably expect my wife to be like, yo, bitch, don't grab my husband. Just not the way it went down for these folks. But good question, man. Fair point. Steven Suter, she hasn't seen any balls in a long time. Well, I think it was it Chris and or Lou last night were both saying she walked out of there with 3 balls. The home run ball and that guy's testicles. So Fito, I would have thrown it back on the field before handing over the ball to her. Shame on her simp hubby. Very good, brother. Very good. I love it. Okay. We are a half an hour in here. And so part of the tease for the show, we are at that time of year. I know not all of you are college football fans. I very much am. I've tried to push this on some of our Green Legion brethren. Doesn't seem to be really an agenda they want to take a look at. We are going to, though. Here on this show, we are going to periodically talk college football. So we are going to. Can I get just the ranked? No, I can't. Anyways, we'll look at Saturday. Now, the early slate on Saturday. Yes, Fanny, yes, you very much are. Fanny, most of you know, some of you who might not, Fanny, very much an Alabama fan. We like to give her shit every now and again when Bama, like, the first week when they lost to Florida State. But the early slate of games on Sunday, I will call out this number 12 Clemson at Georgia Tech at noon. So when there's not a top 25 matchup, like two ranked teams playing each other, what I do during that window is I try to look at point spreads and understand why a top 25 team would be playing an unranked but with a small point spread. Number 12 Clemson at noon at Georgia Tech on ESPN. Clemson only by 2.5 with the over-under at 51.5. You kind of expect Clemson to go in there and take care of business. I don't know if there's something that I am not seeing here, but so that's going to be the one that piques my interest at noon, right? That'll take my big screen until such time as something else becomes relevant. Other than that, like Oregon at Northwestern, Oklahoma at Temple. Look, Philly folks, I'm not trying to insult you here. Temple, I get it, they're home, but this is really, they're at the lake. And I just don't see it going well. Boomer Sooner probably coming in there to handle business. Wisconsin goes on the road at number 19, Alabama. Bama is still pissed off from that first week loss. Michigan is home, ranked 23rd against Central Michigan. Nothing to write home about there. South Alabama at 24, Auburn. Another snooze fest. Villanova at Penn State. It's just not going to go well. That's your 3:30 game for Penn State, which we always keep an eye on because we're Nittany Lions fans here. I know a bunch of you are as well. But that's your 3:30 game, Penn State. Also at 3:30, number 6 Georgia travels to Rocky Top to take on number 15 Tennessee. We have Georgia by 3.5 in Knoxville. So, over under 49.5. These are the types of games that the Vols usually do not perform well in. They usually do not show up for these games. Georgia's 6th in the country. Tennessee's a good team. They're 15th. They're looking for a playoff spot at the end of the year. But again, we're going to have to see it actually happen during the regular season where they're going to show up in one of these games. They're home. They're going to have that raucous volunteer crowd. For those of you that don't know, a lot of the tailgating down there happens on boats in the river. I'll be rooting for Tennessee. One, because I lived there for a little while. I got friends that are Vols fans. I don't hate Georgia, but obviously because a lot of our birds are Georgia Bulldogs. But it would be nice to see Tennessee get a big win early in the year against in the SEC against another top ranked opponent. I'll be rooting for Tennessee. Smart money's probably still on Georgia. That would be my guess. That's your 3:30 game. Suter, go Big Blue, but R.I.P. Moody. Yeah, man. Suter, Penn State playing another September cupcake while Temple hosts Oklahoma. Go Owls. Fanny, yes, we are. Ty Simpson still needs to be put in the corner, not impressed. I would tell you that your head coach, Kalen DeBoer, is going to be on the hot seat if things don't get back to what the expectation is from Tide fans. It's a good one, but it's a home game. Yeah, but Georgia's number 6 in the country, right? This isn't like they're home against Little Sisters of the Poor. They're playing Georgia. Like I said, I'm rooting for Tennessee. It's only a 3.5 point spread to Georgia. So you give 3 points. So the way this breaks down, for those of you that don't gamble or don't understand it, the home is usually worth 3 points on the spread. All right. So you have Georgia at Tennessee, and the line is 3.5. It's basically telling you that Vegas thinks Georgia is a touchdown better overall. But they're giving Tennessee 3 points just for being the home team. So the line is 3.5 Georgia giving, if that makes any sense. Okay. We got a good question here. Fanny, that's Dev, by the way. I'm quite confident you've met him. He hangs out with us, Midwest Eagles Nest. He wants to know, how do you roll a Tide? We'll let you two argue about that. Fanny says, all right, Molly, them's fighting words. So that's your 3:30 window. You have Texas Tech at home against Oregon State. That's a 23.5 points. So there's nothing doing there. Bunch of other fodder as we get through the 3 o'clock window. 4 p.m., Iowa State Cyclones at Arkansas State. Missouri's home against Louisiana. Texas is home against UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso. Texas favored by 41.5. And the line and the over-under is only 51.5. They're basically thinking Texas is just going to slaughter and shut them out. Then we get to 4:30. And you have number 18, South Florida, coming off a big win at the Swamp in Gainesville over the Gators on a last-second field goal by Martin Grammatica's son, of all people. They go on the road at number 5, Miami, at Hard Rock Stadium. The line is Miami by 17.5, with the over-under at 57.5. Miami's good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they could very easily just go out there and blow the doors off of South Florida. But South Florida's playing good football. And they've got a little mojo going into that game after the big win last week. It's hard to think a team like South Florida, who is now ranked 18th in the country, it's hard to think a team like South Florida is going to go into the Swamp in Gainesville and knock off the Gators, and then go down to Miami at Hard Rock and knock off the Canes. But that's why they play the games, folks. If you were looking for a little juice, maybe you want to take the 17.5 points and see what happens there. Obviously, the smart money is on Miami. But I think South Florida is a cool story, and I'll be tuned into that one to watch what happens. No question about it. Dev laughing at you. Lou Mancini. I saw Keenan roll with the changes. All right. After 4:30, we move through a whole bunch of other crap. Then Ohio State at 7 o'clock is home against the Ohio Bobcats. So Ohio State. So this is going to be interesting. Now, Ohio State's going to smack them around. But Ohio State has not been known to cover all of these spreads that they're doing. They always come out and they have these huge spreads against Little Sisters of the Poor. Oftentimes, they don't cover them. So if the payoff was good enough for a small amount of bet to be able to get that 30.5 and watch the line the rest of the week and maybe it goes up, maybe you take the Bobcats and the points and just hope that it's, 35-7. And then you've got yourself some cash. Illinois at home against Western Michigan. Ole Miss at home against Arkansas. Nothing doing there. Nothing. Florida, coming off that loss to South Florida, now has to go to number 3 LSU in Death Valley. LSU by only 7.5. I'll tell you right now, the Florida Gators, and I have a very good friend of mine, a guy who I've known almost all of my life, who is a huge Gators fan. The Florida Gators might very well be the most frustrating team to watch and or bet on or against in all of college football. Because they can go drop that game last weekend to South Florida on a last-second field goal in their own house in the Swamp. And then they can show up in Death Valley and shock LSU. And you see Vegas is not all the way convinced. Like I said, 3 points for the home team. LSU's home, and they're only favored by 7.5. So Vegas is telling you this is a touchdown game at best. That could be that one I will be watching. That will be on one of my 3 screens, even though it's not a top 25 matchup technically. We'll see. And Florida kind of needs that game after that loss last week. Should be interesting. Mancini, these cupcakes get big bucks for getting stopped. Yes, they do. They get a mass amount of money. It basically buoys their program for however long. Suter, now that we have mega power conferences, can't those teams just play conference games or teams from other powerhouse conferences? This is also an excellent question and something that I've heard talked about on a lot of sports radio. I know he's a Notre Dame quarterback and he's from Ohio and he played for the Browns and yada, yada, yada. But Someone who understands the business end of college football in particular, somebody whose opinion I try to listen to on the sport as much as I can, is Brady Quinn. Now, it gets a little, you don't get too much of it when you watch Big Noon Kickoff because there's a panel of guys. But for those of you that are up early in the morning, if you have a longer commute to work, or you're able to listen to this stuff while you're at work early in the morning, Fox Sports Radio does a show called Two Pros and a Cup of Joe. This is LeVar Arrington, who can be a little much to handle, but we are Penn State. Brady Quinn, those are your two pros, and then the Cup of Joe is a guy named Jonas Knox, who is pretty funny in his own right. It's a pretty solid show, and Brady gets a lot of airtime to be able to discuss a lot of the things that you are asking about, Suter. And he did talk about that. I think it was earlier this week. I've got about a 30 to 35-minute commute to work, and I listen to that show religiously. And Brady talked about that very thing. Like, how is this realignment going to ultimately shake out when you talk about a playoff system, a regular season, all of that stuff? And these two conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, that's who Suter's talking about here. Could they just play in their own conference and across that other conference? Does that make sense? Does everyone else just go to FBS? I don't know that you can fully do that because it really cuts the legs out from underneath the Big 12. But it's ever evolving, especially with the NIL and transfer crap, which needs regulations put on it. It's the Wild West. Yeah, you want to transfer one time? I got it. My friend Josh thinks, and I agree with him, that if you want to transfer once, that's fine, but you can't do it inside of your first 2 years. You stay committed. And then the NIL, I'm not ever going to try to cap what a kid can make, but there needs to be a cap on what a school can spend. And right now, it's just open season. You've got Oregon, who can get money funneled into them from Phil Knight and Nike. You've got Penn State, who I believe has the most CEO boosters in the nation. But all of these big schools have this just unlimited. Basically, all this is done was made it legal to do the things that used to be against the rules, and there's no regulations on it. That's got to change. But good point, Suter. 7:30 p.m. Another game of the day candidate. You have Texas A&M, the Aggies. That is our good friend Mike Solon, my partner with the Midwest Eagles Nest. He roots for Texas A&M. They will travel to number 8 Notre Dame. Right now, Notre Dame by 6.5. So again, that spread thing, Vegas isn't sure. 3 points for the home team. They're telling you this is a touchdown game at best. So looking for some fireworks there too. The rest of the night is basically fodder after that. You got Utah at Wyoming, like who gives a shit? But those are your games, man. We talked about the ones that are really, you want to focus on. Clemson at Georgia Tech looks to have some juice. Obviously, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and LSU, South Florida and Miami, and then of course, where is it? Texas A&M at Notre Dame. That's your juice for Saturday. All right. Now there are games: NC State, Wake Forest, Indiana State. Yeah, nothing really doing tomorrow night or Friday. It's all Saturday, the way it should be. Lou Mancini, I hate Notre Dame. Brother, join the club. Very elitist. All right. So that's your college football end of things. I think it is a little important to watch the Alabama team at home, albeit against the Wisconsin team that's not all that good, but still is a Big Ten team. Bama should be looking to rip their heads off, and if you don't see that, I'd be a little concerned as a Bama fan. The only thing that would change that is if they win like 31-14, but it feels like they won 50-0. You know what I mean? Where they dominate a game without really just blowing out the scoreboard. So I'd look for that. That Florida LSU game. Florida, even if they go in there and they lose, but lose a close one, I think there's no such thing as good losses, but I think they can at least feel a little bit, not as bad, right? So then we move to the varsity Sunday. Let me grab this thing here real quick. Well, tomorrow night. Start with tomorrow night, where we have Green Bay and Jesus, why am I drawing such a blank here? Like my mind is all over the place with what happened today. I'm usually much sharper than this. Sorry, guys. Just give me a second. All right. So, week 2. We have we have the Commodes. That's right. At Green Bay. So all of us Birds fans, we are all Packers fans tomorrow night. Plain and simple. We'll take care of what we got to do with Green Bay. When we have to go play them. But for now, we need Washington to lose that game. Early in the year, shit can happen. Green Bay looked really good on Sunday. Line is Green Bay by 3.5 at home. So basically, Vegas is telling you pick them. 8:15 tomorrow night. I like the Packers at home. Then we move to Sunday. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Who gives a shit? I can tell you if the Bengals come out and play like they did against the Browns, they're going to lose. They gave up 400 yards to the Browns. They won that game because there were 3 crucial drop passes by the Browns late and 2 missed field goals by the Browns. That's why the Bengals won that game. They had 12 yards of offense in the entire second half. Not going to get it done. Then we have the Giants at the Cowboys. This is the sinkhole game. Flip a coin. I don't really think either of them are a threat to us overall. Chicago at Detroit. I expect the Lions to rebound. What do you mean? Okay, fine. Go Pack, go. You got to tomorrow night. Can't root for Washington with that. Chicago at Detroit. Like I said, I expect the Lions to rebound. I know Chicago looked good out of the gates last night. Keep in mind, that was during the portion of the game where the plays were scripted. Right? These are the scripted plays that we are going to, this is what we're going to run right out of the gates, right? Your first 15 plays or whatever the hell the number is. Once we got past that point in the game, I think we ended up seeing what Caleb Williams has been to this point, which is erratic. Great athlete, don't get me wrong. I do think he's more of an athlete playing quarterback than a quarterback who actually happens to be a good athlete. Kind of just my take on the kid. I expect Detroit to rebound at home. Don't know if they'll cover that 6.5, but I expect them to rebound at home. Rams at Titans. I expect the Rams to go in there and just mollywop the Titans. I feel bad for Cam Ward having to be on that team. They're awful. Pats at Dolphins. And the Dolphins, after that horrible showing, Dominguez, I'm sorry if you're still listening. After that horrible showing against the Daniel Jones-led Colts, the freaking Dolphins are still favored by 1.5 at home. But again, 3 points for the home team. So overall, it's a pick'em game. I like New England to go in there and win that game. I'm sorry, Lou. I don't like the look of the Dolphins. I don't, and I think there's bad times coming. And there's a changing of the guard coming. Now, San Francisco at New Orleans. Brock Purdy's probably not going to play. This is going to be all Christian McCaffrey, and Vegas is telling you what they think about that with the only 2.5-point spread. The Saints are a shitty football team. San Francisco, I don't think is as good as people were hyping them up to be before the season. I think they were getting a lot of love, being called a playoff team because of the weak schedule. They play, I think, the weakest schedule in football, them and then the Patriots, or the other way around. I still think San Francisco comes out of there with a win, but I am definitely rooting for the Saints, for sure. Bills at Jets is an interesting game. God bless Justin Fields for what he was trying to do against the Steelers last week. Shut me up for a week. I do not like Justin Fields as a starting NFL quarterback. He looked solid on Sunday. He did. That Pittsburgh defense is $170 million. So I don't know how you let the Jets shred you like that, but they're not devoid of talent. Jets offense has talent. Brees Hall's a good running back. Allen to back him up is good. Garrett Wilson is a really good wide receiver on the outside. And Fields was good. There's no way around it. The Buffalo defense got shredded by Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but we all saw Josh Allen show you why he was last year's MVP. In a game that was electric, possible game of the year candidate right out of the gates. We get it on the first Sunday night of the NFL season. Buffalo comes back to win the game 41-40. Lamar Jackson had a great night, but dwarfed by the night that Josh Allen had. Josh Allen has, I think it was a little over 400 yards of total offense, 4 touchdowns, out of control. As great as it was, it's a nice story for what Fields did last week. I got Buffalo going into the swamp there and taking care of business. Pittsburgh at home against Seattle. I'd like to tell you Pittsburgh at home figures it out defensively and handles Seattle. Look, Seattle goes, Geno Smith goes to the Raiders. They bring in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold had a huge year last year, albeit against a weaker schedule. When the lights turned up brightest, he folded like a cheap suit. He saw it again this past weekend in a crucial spot. He fumbles the football. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh by 2.5. I would probably lay that and say that their defense is going to right the ship and handle Seattle coming in. Cleveland at Baltimore in the biggest spread of the week. Early in the year, it's tough to think it's tough to lay 11.5 points. But I would not be at all surprised if Baltimore, pissed off after that loss on Sunday night, goes out there and just lights Cleveland up. If Baltimore can figure out a way to take Miles, you can't really take Myles Garrett completely out of a game, but you can limit the damage. And I think Baltimore is a good team to do that. So yeah, they smash Cleveland at home. Then we have Denver at Indianapolis. Look, Daniel Jones. Do you guys understand that what the Colts did on Sunday was the first time it had been done this century where a team scored on every single one of its possessions? And Daniel Jones led that offense. I have to believe that is from my own eyes, watching Daniel Jones, and albeit with the Giants, who are terrible. I can't believe he's that good. I'm going to have to see it again. And now this Denver team has a good defense. And it's in Indianapolis. I get it. But I like Denver to go in there and get that win. He liked that one. That folded like a cheap suit. I mean, he did. I can't imagine Daniel Jones being able to do those things again. If he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. So be it. Then we have Carolina at Arizona. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. There was a part of me that wanted to put like $5 down on Carolina going 0-17. Just for shits and giggles. I got Arizona in Glendale taking care of that. I don't think you need to go into much detail. It's basically Kyler Murray versus poor man's Kyler Murray. Bryce Young looks terrible. It's just not, and I wasn't sold on him coming out of college, dude. Like, he's a nice kid, had a great collegiate career, got that, not knocking him for that. He's not an NFL starting quarterback. He's just not. We'll skip our game for now and come back to it. Atlanta at Minnesota gives you your Sunday night game. I think it's an interesting matchup. Minnesota, great fourth quarter comeback from J.J. McCarthy in his first career start. They still have a very loaded offense with Justin Jefferson, Addison's, got the suspension, but T.J. Hawkinson, Aaron Jones out of the backfield, and I forget who the other kid running back is. Their defense plays well enough. Atlanta, we're going to have to see. All right. Penix, also very fresh. So it should be a fun matchup. I'll take Minnesota just because they're home. but I'm not really sold on it one way or the other. Here's their home, but I think they have the better roster overall. Bijan Robinson is perfectly capable of taking over a ball game, though. Your two Monday night games, Tampa Bay at Houston, and we'll just go ahead and say it now. I don't think the Houston Texans are that good. I think C.J. Stroud had a massive rookie season and has just regressed since then. I think that team was begging to get knocked out of the playoffs early last year. They got in because they play in one of, if not the shittiest division in football, and somebody has to win the division. They were begging to get bumped out. They just happened to run into the Chargers, who have a quarterback who can't win in big moments. I like Baker Mayfield. It's hard to not root for a guy like Mike Evans, who just goes out there, does his job, and grabs 1,000 yards every single season. I told all of you about Emeka Egbuka. Thank that kid for not making a liar out of me and grabbing 2 touchdown catches in his first career NFL game. I'm not saying that's going to continue every week, but I do like Tampa to go into Houston and take care of that. Houston giving 2.5, I would take Tampa in the points all day long. Then you have the Chargers at the Raiders. Look, as long as you can contain Max Crosby on the defensive side and contain somewhat Brock Bowers on the offensive side, Ashton Genty had a nice collegiate career. I don't know what it's going to amount to in the NFL. Geno Smith, obviously better than what they've had there the last couple of seasons, but the Chargers are loaded with talent. Ladd McConkey is a budding star wide receiver. Quentin Johnston grabbed a couple tutties against the Chiefs. Keep waiting for him to break out. They've got Najee by Nature and Omarion Hampton coming out of the backfield. I like their defense. Chargers giving 3.5 at Vegas. You know, if it makes you nervous laying points on the road, I understand, but I'd expect the Chargers to win this by a touchdown. You know, so that's kind of the way I look at NFL Week 2. And now we'll get back to the most important game for us, anyways, that's on the docket, and that is 425 Fox Game of the Week. All yours, mine, our Philadelphia Eagles back out in Kansas City against the Chiefs. Hey, Russ Taylor joins us. Howdy, bitches. What's going on? Scott Calcaterra having tech issues. Sorry to hear that, brother. My opening rant. You should go back to the beginning and watch the opening rant. Fanny. Okay, I'm back. The famous record player just got delivered. It was nice. But let's break down this Eagles game real quick and then get out of here for the night, folks. Birds at Chiefs. Listen to me very carefully, folks. The first 4 weeks of any season are tough to really predict. Most teams do not play their starters at all during the preseason. We are one of those teams. So these guys are still getting loose. You also have a brand new offensive coordinator. I am a little concerned with what I saw play calling on Thursday night against Dallas. It felt a little Sirianni-ish, and or just felt a little vanilla, if that makes any sense. We lose Jordan Shipley for 6 to 12 weeks. We do go trade for Tank Bigsby. Love the move. Had the draft picks to give. It's a 5th and 6th rounder. I don't have any issue with it. We needed the backup running back. We've got it. The corner 2 spot still driving me insane. But up against this Chiefs team, who is not only without Rashid Rice, but also now without Xavier Worthy. So it's Hollywood Brown and an aging, about to be Mr. Taylor Swift at tight end. And, of course, Patrick Mahomes. But their offensive line looks absolutely terrible. Jalen Carter did not get suspended. Well, let me rephrase. He did get suspended, but they called it time served, right? Had that spitting incident happened at halftime, he may lose this game as well. It happened 6 seconds into the game, so they called that game. You were suspended for that game. they're finding him a game check. The only way they were able to find him that amount of money, that high a dollar figure, is by saying he was being suspended, but with the time certain was last week. So he played, he sat out last week and got paid. This week he plays for free. This is how it works. Carter's back. The Chiefs' O-line still looks terrible. Look, you got to do something about Pacheco. Got it. Get it. We play a lot of zone, understood. But anytime there is man coverage, it's got to be Mitchell with Hollywood Brown, right? Bracket Kelsey with a mix of maybe a linebacker, Cooper DeJohn hops in there a little bit, and then you got to figure out the CB2 spot. It's a point of contention right now. We go and work out that kid Hilton from the fucking Bengals a couple of years ago. It's like, oh my God. Vic is scrambling for answers at that spot, and it's a little unnerving. So, however, I don't see how the matchup changed all that much for Kansas City, in particular because they're down their top two wide receivers. All right, Rice they knew they were going to be without, and now they're without Worthy. Now, don't get me wrong, they've got a whole week to prepare, but they're still without their top two guys. So, two of their top three guys, and maybe you put Hollywood Brown ahead of Worthy right now, whatever. I just don't see, and I do this all the time, and I'll just say it again. I don't see. Someone tell me where the Kansas City Chiefs have a clear-cut advantage over our Philadelphia Eagles. Their offensive line is not better than our defensive line. Their defensive line is not better than our offensive line. You want to tell me their quarterback is better than ours? Okay, I get it. It's Patrick Mahomes. But Jalen's outplayed him in all three matchups that they've had against each other. Twice in the Super Bowl, one other time in Kansas City. So while he's outplayed him all three times, he's also never had one of those games in Philly. 2 neutral sites on the game's biggest stage, and once in Kansas City. Tight end, Travis Kelce's probably going to go down as the best tight end to ever step on a football field. So, okay, I'll give you the nod there over Goddard. Fine. I like our depth at tight end better. Okay, if Goddard's got to sit out for a couple of plays, I have no trouble with Grant Calcaterra out there at all. Runs great routes, has great hands. Period. No issues. Running back, don't even talk to me. Pacheco's a nice running back. Saquon Barkley's the best running back in football. Is what it is. Wide receiver, bring back Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy. They still don't hold a candle to A.J. Brown and Smitty, who that's the area that has to get better, right? Between the two of them, there were 4 targets, 4 catches, a total of 24 yards. This is not a sustainable formula for the Eagles. It's not a winning formula for the Eagles going forward. Spagnuolo took away Saquon in the Super Bowl last year, and Jalen carved him up. Don't know what their game plan is going to be this time. I would imagine taking away Saquon is probably priority number 1. It would be if I was a defensive coordinator, but we'll see. I just think that the Eagles have too much of an advantage across the board. I think Jalen goes ahead and leads us to victory again. He's probably going to have to do it because I do think they're going to focus on Saquon. It's probably going to have to be Jalen. He's going to have to get AJ and Smitty more involved. I think he will. And I think the Birds come out in Kansas City and we end up 2-0. I don't see where Kansas City has some clear-cut advantage. Home crowd? Well, we've gone there and won. So that's not it either. All right. Before we get out of here, over to the room one more time. Scott says, I texted you about picking on my Mac Champion podcast. I didn't see it. Oh, here it is. My system is whack. Don't pick on the Bobcats. They won the MAC last year. Oh, geez. Nice. What else? Dev, we didn't reserve Sunday, but if we're off early enough, we'll be there. I'd go ahead and get the reservation in. Just do it. Just go ahead and do it. Go into the Eventbrite, put your thing in, and just do it. Calcaterra It is the Chiefs' home opener. They'll be jacked to beat the Eagles. They will. They're without their top two outside weapons, and they're coming back from Brazil. I don't like. If I was a Chiefs fan, I would not like the formula here. Jalen Carter doesn't get suspended. Your line looks terrible. You're without Worthy and Rashid Rice. It's probably not I don't know. I certainly don't expect the belt to ass like what happened in the Super Bowl, but I expect to win the football game. Taylor Swift. Russ says Taylor Swift followers. There we go. Will AJ Dillon fill in for Shipley? So we traded for Tank Bigsby out of from Jacksonville. We traded a 5th and 6th rounder this week to bring in Bigsby, which I think is a solid move. When Saquon needs the breather, I think you'll see a mix. But I expect Bigsby to have an impact. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, he'll just pick up the playbook quick enough. He can get out there and do his thing. All right. Any other questions you guys got? Shoot them away. Fire them away now, or forever hold your peace until next week. Next week, for those of you Midwest Eagles Nest, I know we got Scott, Fanny, Dev. If any of you are interested in coming on and doing the show with me, I would like to do these from the back porch. So I will put posts out there with dates, and you guys just tell me if you're available and you'd like to do it. Like to kick it off at 6 p.m., especially when I have to go on on location like that, because it's a little bit longer to pack up, a little bit more time to get home, all of that sort of thing. Tonight, 7 o'clock, just because I needed the extra time to collect my thoughts after what happened today. So yeah, if I'll put the posts out there. If any of you are interested in coming on with me live from the back porch, you're more than welcome. And we'll start doing that again next week. But if nobody else has anything, I am going to get the hell out of here. It is a little after 8. I've had a long week. I am ready to relax for a bit, get to bed, and get up tomorrow. So in closing, folks, I'm not going to go back through the rant. Camera shy. All right, well, let's try to break that. Let me know if you want to come up, buddy. All right, we'll talk again. In closing, like I said, I'm not going to go through that rant again, but I want you folks that are old enough to really remember, and it's most of you, where we were 24 years ago, September 10th, as a nation, divided at each other's throats, yada, yada, yada. In comparison to where we are today on September 10th, much more divided, much more violent, obviously with the events of this afternoon. Don't let it take another September 11th to bring us together. All right. I personally would rather not live through that ever again. I know all of you feel the same way. And I know a lot of you don't see things eye to eye when it comes to politics. But the hate that's out there is what's making it this way. It's what's making that kind of shit a possibility again. You get attacked when you look your weakest. And don't think other nations that hate us don't see it. You saw it 24 years ago. Don't think it can't happen again. All right? That's the closing thought for the night. Try to just speak respectfully to each other. Shut the fucking news off. All right? It's not good for you. It's people's opinions. It's not news. To hell with them. Form your own opinions. And do it by talking to people who don't see eye to eye with you. It's the only way we grow as a nation, with our own mentalities, whatever. You need someone to vent to? Give me a call. I'll listen to you. No trouble. Not on Sundays and not in the Midwest Eagles Nest Facebook group. Anyways, folks, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. This has been the UnHappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family, proudly sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed tonight. Come on back again next week. We will be live from the Back Porch Saloon with a guest that will be named later. Until then, kids, enjoy the rest of your week. Remember what tomorrow is all about. Get on to your weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Remember that Judge will not be back in until Monday. And as always, go Birds. All right, kids, that's it. You take care. And as always, we love you.